Picture this. You're barefoot on a white sand beach in Hawaii. The love of your life is standing next to you. Your mom is crying. Your best friend is holding your bouquet. And you're about to say, I do, in actual paradise. Now picture this instead. You're stuck in your hotel room watching CNN because there's a hurricane warning. Your photographer just texted that she can't make it from Oahu because all the inter-island flights are canceled. And your officiant? Turns out he's actually not licensed, so even if you could have the ceremony, you wouldn't actually be married. Both of these are real weddings I've been involved with. The difference between them came down to planning. Real planning, not Pinterest dreaming. I'm Marcie, and after 40-plus trips to Hawaii, I've been to some truly magical destination weddings. I've also watched some spectacular disasters unfold. Today, I'm telling you everything. The legal stuff that can invalidate your marriage, the vendor mistakes that ruin your photos forever, the timing disasters that cost people thousands, and the budget surprises that nobody warned you about. If you're planning a Hawaii wedding or a honeymoon, grab someone to take notes with. This one's important. So you're engaged. Congratulations. And you're thinking Hawaii for the wedding or honeymoon or both. Smart choice. Hawaii weddings are incredible when they go right. But here's what nobody tells you until it's too late. Hawaii isn't like getting married at home. There's different laws, different weather patterns, different everything. And mistakes here are expensive, like really expensive, because you can't just run to a local vendor to fix things last minute. I'm not trying to scare you, I promise. Hawaii weddings and honeymoons can be absolutely magical. I've seen so many beautiful celebrations. But I've also watched couples make entirely preventable mistakes that cost them thousands of dollars and a lot of tears. So today, we're covering it all. The legal stuff first, because that's most important. You actually need to be legally married for this to count. Then vendors, because your photos and your food are what you and your guests will remember. Then timing and weather, which in Hawaii is its own beast. Budget reality, because I'm not going to sugarcoat what things cost. Guest management, because your people are spending a lot to be there. And honeymoon planning, which has its own pitfalls. I'll also tell you at the end how to get personalized help if you need it, because sometimes you just need someone who's done this before to look at your specific plans. All right. Starting with the legal stuff, and I'm not kidding when I say I've seen couples who thought they were married find out later they weren't. So Hawaii marriage licenses are weird compared to most states. You can't just show up and get one. You also can't get it super far in advance. There's a very specific window. So here's how it actually works. You apply online through the Hawaii Department of Health website. You can do this from home even months before your trip. You fill out the application, you pay $65, that's $60 for the license, plus $5 for the online portal fee. Then you get a confirmation number. But here's the catch. After you apply online, you have to schedule an appointment with a marriage license agent in Hawaii to actually pick it up in person. You can't pick it up at home. You have to physically be in Hawaii. The timing window is this. You can pick it up anytime within 30 days before your ceremony. So if your wedding is on a Saturday, you could pick up the license on Thursday if you want. Or you could pick it up 2 weeks before. The key is that it has to be within those 30 days. And both of you have to be there at the pickup appointment, in person, in Hawaii, with government IDs. No sending your officiant or a friend to grab it for you. Both partners must show up together. If one of you was previously married and that divorce or death was within the last 30 days, you also need certified copies of the divorce decree or death certificate. Most couples schedule the pickup appointment for a few days after they arrive in Hawaii, then relax for a bit before the wedding. That way you've got it handled, but you're not stressing about it your first day there. I had a couple last year who applied for their license online 3 months before their wedding. They thought they were all set. When they showed up to their appointment in Hawaii, they found out their online application had expired because you can only apply up to 1 year in advance. They had to redo everything and pay the fee again. Not a huge expense, but super stressful when you're trying to enjoy your pre-wedding time in Hawaii. Oh, and once you pick up the license in Hawaii, it's valid for 30 days. So you've got a 30-day window to actually get married. After that, it's void, no extensions. You'll have to start over. One more thing that trips people up, name changes and travel documents. If you're planning to change your name and you've already booked your return flight under your new married name, you're going to have a problem at TSA. Your ticket needs to match your current legal ID. I know it seems obvious, but I've seen panicked calls at the airport over this. Okay, I want to talk about the officiant situation. This is where I've seen the worst disasters. Not everyone who says they can marry you in Hawaii actually can. Your officiant must be licensed by the Hawaii Department of Health. Not just ordained online, not just a judge from back home. Licensed in Hawaii specifically. There was this beautiful wedding I attended on Maui a few years ago. Everything was perfect. The couple went home, posted all the photos, changed their last names on social media. 6 months later, they found out their officiant's license had expired before the wedding. They weren't legally married. They had to have a quiet legal ceremony back home and explain to everyone what happened. So when you're choosing an officiant, ask to see their license number. Then verify it yourself on the Hawaii Department of Health website. I'm not saying don't trust them, but actually, I guess I'm saying verify. Religious officiants need to be ordained and registered with the state. For civil ceremonies, you can use a judge, a licensed marriage performer, or you can have a friend get temporarily authorized through the lieutenant governor's office. That temporary authorization costs $100 for a year or $25 for a 60-day period. And it takes time to process, so your friend can't decide to do this the week of your wedding. A lot of couples want Hawaiian cultural elements in their ceremony. That's beautiful when it's done respectfully. But you need to understand the difference between a legal ceremony and a cultural blessing. You can absolutely have both. Many couples do a legal ceremony and then have a separate cultural ceremony with a kahuna. Just make sure the legal part is actually legal. Beach weddings in Hawaii sound dreamy, and they are, but most people don't realize you need permits for beaches, and the rules are different on each island. Sometimes they're different beach to beach. State beaches have different rules than county beaches. National parks have their own requirements. Some beaches don't allow events at all. I worked with a couple who found the perfect beach on Oahu's North Shore. Private, gorgeous, not crowded. They showed up on their wedding day to find park rangers telling them they couldn't have the ceremony there without a permit. They'd never even thought to check. They ended up getting married in their hotel courtyard instead. Most beaches allow small groups, usually up to 10 to 15 people, without permits. Once you're bigger than that, you need paperwork, and some beaches require permits regardless of size. On Oahu, you need to check with the county for beach permits. On Maui, it's a different process. Big Island, different again. If you're getting married in a state park, like Diamond Head, Hanauma Bay, certain Big Island spots, you need special use permits that can take weeks to get approved. The permit fees aren't usually huge, often $50 to $200, but the hassle of not having one can ruin your day. Private property is another issue. A lot of couples find a gorgeous Airbnb or vacation rental and think, perfect, we'll have this ceremony here. But many rental properties and residential neighborhoods have restrictions on events. Your neighbors can absolutely call the police if you're having a loud party in a quiet residential area. If you're working with a wedding planner or coordinator, they should handle permits, but I'd verify they're actually doing it. Don't just assume. I also want to mention that each island has its own quirks. Oahu has the most vendor options, but also the most competition for good photographers and popular venues. You're also dealing with traffic. Oahu traffic is real, and it can turn a 30-minute drive into 90 minutes during rush hour. Maui has different rules for Haleakala National Park if you want a sunrise ceremony up there. Beautiful, but you need permits, and there are strict guidelines. Maui also has noise ordinances in resort areas, so if you're planning an evening reception with music, check the rules. Big Island has active volcanic activity. Usually it's not an issue, but occasionally there's volcanic fog, that affects air quality and visibility. It can mess with outdoor events and photographs. Kauai has fewer vendors, period. If you're getting married on Kauai, book everything way in advance. There aren't as many options, and the good ones fill up fast. Molokai and Lanai have very limited vendor options. You might have to fly vendors in from Oahu or Maui, which adds $500 to $1,500 per vendor for travel. All right, I'm going to be direct. Your photographer is the most important vendor decision you'll make. Your flowers will die, your cake will get eaten, your dress will go in a closet, but your photos, you're looking at those for the rest of your life. I've been to weddings where the couples hired the cheapest photographer they could find. The photos came back blurry, poorly lit, with terrible composition. You can't fix that. The day is over, those moments are gone. Hawaii is actually harder to photograph than most places. The sun is really bright. It creates harsh shadows and blown out highlights if you don't know what you're doing. The humidity fogs up lenses, salt air corrodes equipment, wind wreaks havoc on everything. You need a photographer who actually shoots in Hawaii regularly, not someone from California who thinks they can figure it out. Look at their Hawaii portfolios specifically. Do they know how to handle beach lighting? Can they shoot in bright midday sun? What do their sunset shots look like? Ask these specific questions. Do you have backup cameras and lenses? Because humidity kills equipment. What's your weather backup plan? How fast is your turnaround for edited photos? Have you shot at my specific venue before? Good Hawaii wedding photographers start around $3,000 to $5,000. Really experienced in-demand photographers can go up to $16,000 or more. I know that sounds like a lot, but when you're looking at your wedding photos for the next 50 years, it's worth it. If you're bringing a photographer from the mainland, add $500 to $1,500 for their travel costs on top of their regular fees. For honeymoons, I really love Flightographer. They don't do weddings, but they're perfect for honeymoon couple photos. You book a local photographer for an hour or two. Prices start at $425 and go up depending on location and session length. You get professional photos at incredible spots without the wedding day pressure. I've used them myself for family photos in Hawaii, and the quality is fantastic. Food safety in outdoor tropical conditions is no joke. I've been to 2 weddings where guests got food poisoning. Both times it was because the caterer didn't properly handle food in the heat. Your caterer needs to be licensed for outdoor events and needs to understand Hawaii's conditions. Food can't sit out in 85-degree heat for hours. You need proper refrigeration, proper heating, proper coverage from bugs and wind. If you want Hawaiian food, like kalua pork, poke, haupia, work with caterers who actually understand the culture. Don't just let some random mainland caterer do Hawaiian fusion unless they know what they're doing. It often comes across as disrespectful or just plain wrong. Weather affects catering more than people realize. Outdoor buffets need wind protection or everything blows away. Everything needs rain backup. Most venues require caterers to have contingency plans in their contracts, but verify this yourself. Hawaiian ingredients are incredible when they're in season and sourced locally. Hawaiian beef, local fish, tropical fruits, but they're expensive, like really expensive. Expect to pay $150 to $350 per person for catering at a Hawaii wedding, depending on your menu. That's significantly more than most mainland destinations. If you're on a tight budget, consider a simple reception. A lot of couples do their ceremony, then take everyone to a nice restaurant for dinner. It's less formal, but way less expensive and stressful. Hawaii's flowers are absolutely stunning, but mainland flowers don't last in Hawaii's humidity and heat. I watched a wedding where the bride insisted on peonies shipped from the mainland. By the time the ceremony started, they were wilting. By the reception, they were basically dead, ruined all the centerpieces. Tropical flowers are what works here. Plumeria, bird of paradise, anthurium, local orchids, they're designed for this climate. They last. They're also usually less expensive because you're not paying to ship them from somewhere else. Mailele have deep cultural significance. Don't just use them as decoration because they look cool. Same with certain flowers and plants. A good florist will guide you on what's appropriate and what's not. A lot of couples now are choosing locally grown, sustainable flowers. It's better for the environment, supports local farmers, and usually means fresher flowers. All right, the biggest vendor disasters I see aren't actually bad vendors. They're communication failures. Your photographer doesn't know when the ceremony starts. Your caterer sets up in the wrong location. Your florist delivers to the wrong address. These things happen when there's no clear communication and no one's managing the flow of information. You need detailed timelines shared with every vendor at least 2 weeks before the wedding. Not just ceremony at 4 p.m., but 2:30 p.m. photographer arrives at getting ready location. 3 p.m. florals delivered to venue. 3:30 p.m. caterer begins setup. 3:45 p.m. final venue check. 4 p.m. ceremony begins. And you need one person, not you, not your partner, managing vendors for the day. This can be your planner, a reliable friend, or family member. Someone who has all the contact numbers and can handle issues without bothering you. So, timing in Hawaii isn't just about picking a date. It's about understanding weather patterns, tourist seasons, and how all of this affects your specific plans. Hurricane season runs June through November, peaking in August and September. Most years, Hawaii doesn't get hit. But when storms do come through, they can completely destroy wedding plans. I helped a couple last September who had no weather backup plan. They'd rented this gorgeous private estate on Maui's south side. Outdoor ceremony, outdoor reception, the whole thing. 3 days before their wedding, a tropical storm headed toward the islands. They spent 48 hours frantically trying to find an indoor space. Everything was booked or insanely expensive at the last minute. They ended up at a hotel ballroom that cost them an extra $3,000, and it wasn't anything like what they'd planned. I'm not saying don't get married during hurricane season. A lot of people do, and it's fine. But you need a real backup plan, a specific indoor location that's booked and paid for, not just we'll figure it out if it rains. Peak season in Hawaii is December through April. That's when everyone wants to be there. It's also when vendor prices are highest and 12 to 18 months out. Good photographers and popular venues get booked up fast. Shoulder seasons, May and November, are often the sweet spot. Weather is usually good, but you'll have more vendor availability and sometimes better pricing. Summer, June through August, means more families are traveling. Schools are out, hotels are fuller. It's not necessarily more expensive, but it's busier. One thing people don't think about: local school schedules and holidays. Hawaii families travel during school breaks, which affects vendor availability and hotel pricing during times you might not expect. Sunset time in Hawaii varies by about 90 minutes between summer and winter. In December, sunset is around 6 p.m. In June, it's after 7 p.m. If you're planning a sunset ceremony, look up the exact time for your date and location on timeanddate.com. Don't guess, don't assume, know the exact time. Tide timing matters for beach weddings. I've seen ceremonies where the beach was beautiful during the morning scout, but completely underwater during the actual ceremony time. Check tide charts for your specific date and beach. Traffic is real on Oahu and Maui especially. H1 on Oahu during rush hour is a nightmare. The road to Hana is slow no matter what. Build realistic travel times into your timeline with buffer room. And every outdoor wedding needs a weather backup plan. Not we'll move inside, but an actual plan. This means a specific indoor location that's booked, contracts with vendors that address weather changes, a communication plan for notifying guests, and a decision timeline. When do you call it and move indoors? Some venues include indoor backup space. Others charge extra, sometimes a lot extra. Factor this cost into your budget from day one. Good photographers can work with weather. Some of the most dramatic wedding photos I've seen were shot during or right after storms. But your photographer needs to be prepared and have equipment that can handle moisture. Okay, nobody wants to talk about money until they have to, so I'm just going to be straight with you about what things actually cost. Permits. Beach permits, park permits, alcohol permits. These add up to $500 to $1,500 depending on where you're getting married and how big your group is. Equipment rentals for outdoor venues, tables, chairs, tents, sound systems, lighting, portable restrooms. These can easily add $2,000 to $5,000 if your venue doesn't include it. Weather contingency costs. Remember that backup plan we talked about? It costs money. Tent rentals, backup venue deposits, additional transportation. You're going to want to budget $2,000 to $5,000 for this. Vendor travel. If your photographer or other vendors need to fly to your island, you're paying for that, $500 to $1,500 per vendor typically. So how much do Hawaii weddings actually cost? A small wedding that has 20 to 30 guests and very basic setup, maybe $15,000 to $30,000. That's venue or permits, photographer, flowers, food, basic decorations. It doesn't include guest accommodations or your own travel. A medium wedding of 50 guests and nicer vendors, $30,000 to $50,000. Large or luxury weddings, 75 to 100 plus guests, high-end everything, you're looking at $50,000 to $100,000 or more. These numbers shock people, but Hawaii is expensive. Everything costs more here. Labor costs more, materials cost more, logistics cost more. And here's the thing everyone forgets. Budget 20 to 30% more than your initial estimate. Things change, costs creep up, weather forces plan B. You want things you didn't originally plan for. All right, let's do a honeymoon budget reality. Honeymoon costs vary wildly depending on what you want to do and where you stay. Hotels costs range from $200 a night for a decent hotel on the Big Island to $600 or more per night for nice resorts on Maui during peak season. A week of accommodation can easily be $1,400 to $4,200. Activities add up fast. Helicopter tour at $250 to $500 per person. Snorkeling trip is $100 to $200 per person. A luau is $150 to $250 per person. Spa day, $200 to $400 per person. And if you want to do several activities, you're looking at $1,000 to $2,000 or more for the week. Food costs more than most mainland destinations. So you're going to want to budget $100 to $200 per day for 2 people. More if you're eating at nice restaurants. A car rental for a week is $400 to $800 depending on the time of year. So a realistic week-long honeymoon in Hawaii costs $4,000 to $8,000 for 2 people, not including flights. Budget honeymoon, staying in condos and cooking some meals, doing free activities, that's about $3,000 to $4,000. A luxury honeymoon with nice resorts and lots of activities, $8,000 to $12,000 or more. So how do you save money without ruining your experience? Book accommodations and flights early. Prices go up closer you get. Consider vacation rentals if you're comfortable cooking some meals. Grocery stores in Hawaii have great local ingredients. Mix splurge activities with free ones. Maybe you do one helicopter tour, but also do free beach days, scenic drives, and hiking. Look for activity packages. Some sites bundle multiple activities at a discount. Consider a weekday wedding. Many vendors charge less Monday through Thursday. And smaller guest counts obviously cost less. But don't feel obligated to invite everyone. Destination weddings are a natural way to keep things intimate. Okay, I want to talk about guest management. Your guests are spending serious money to be at your Hawaii wedding. Flights, hotels, activities, time off work. The least you can do is make it easy for them. So help them plan early. You're going to want to send the save the dates 8 to 12 months in advance and include approximate costs, flight, hotel, how many nights, hotel recommendations with a range of price points, general weather expectations, and what to pack. A lot of guests will need to save money and request vacation time. Give them as much notice as possible. Accommodation blocks are worth it. Group rates can save your guests money. Work with 2 to 3 hotels at different price points to secure blocks. But understand the contracts. Most hotels want minimum room night commitments. Some charge attrition fees if your guests don't book enough rooms. So you're going to want to read the fine print. And book these blocks 9 to 12 months out. Give guests booking deadlines, usually 30 to 60 days before the wedding. Transportation also matters. Guests need rental cars. Is there shuttle service between hotels and the ceremony venue? Uber and Lyft exist on Oahu and Maui, but are limited on other islands. Kauai and the Big Island have very limited ride shares, and taxis can be scarce. So if your ceremony is far from where guests are staying, consider arranging transportation. Yes, it costs money, but it's better than guests getting lost or late. You also want to set clear expectations. Tell guests which events include food and which don't. If you're having a welcome dinner, ceremony, and reception, be clear about what's covered. If you're planning group activities, send details early with pricing and RSVP deadlines. Not everyone can afford or wants to do everything, and that's fine. Let guests know about weather. Outdoor ceremony, bring light layers in case of wind, heels will sink in sand, consider flats or wedges. And here's a cultural sensitivity talk. Your guests probably don't know Hawaiian cultural norms. Give them some basics, like respect for the land and ocean. Don't take rocks or sand. Don't sit or stand on ancient sites. Be mindful of noise in residential areas and leave no trace at beaches. If your wedding includes cultural elements, brief guests beforehand. They'll appreciate understanding what they're witnessing. Okay, let's talk about honeymoon mistakes. Honeymoon planning is different from wedding planning. There's different mistakes and different considerations. I see couples book activities every single day. Snorkeling Monday, helicopter Tuesday, ziplining Wednesday, luau Thursday, hiking Friday. They're exhausted by day 3. You just planned a wedding. You just got married. You're probably more tired than you realize. You need actual rest. So my recommendation is to plan 2 to 3 must-do activities. Book those special dinner reservations, then leave the rest flexible. Some of your best honeymoon memories will be the spontaneous moments. Sleeping in, lazy beach mornings, random sunset spots you discover. On the flip side, some couples plan nothing. They think they'll figure it out when they get there. Then they arrive and find out that the restaurant everyone raved about is booked 3 weeks out. The helicopter tour they wanted is sold out. The snorkel spot they're supposed to need a boat to reach. Book your must-dos in advance. You can still leave room for spontaneity. A lot of couples want to see multiple islands. I get it. You're coming all this way and you want to see everything. But island hopping is exhausting. You're packing, unpacking, getting to airports, waiting for flights, getting rental cars, finding new hotels. Each island change eats up half a day minimum. For a 7-day honeymoon, pick one island. Maybe 2 if you have 10 or more days. But spend at least 3 to 4 days on each island to make the travel worth it. Choose the island that matches what you actually want to do. Oahu is great for restaurants, nightlife, shopping, and history. Maui for resorts, activities, beaches, and scenic drives. The Big Island for adventure, diverse landscapes, and has an active volcano. Or Kauai for natural beauty, hiking, and relaxation. You also want to manage your expectations. Social media makes Hawaii look perfect all the time. Those pictures of empty beaches and perfect sunsets? Somebody worked to get those shots. Your experience will have rain sometimes, crowds sometimes, days when you're tired or cranky, and that's normal. That's real life. The Instagram version isn't reality. Weather affects activities. Helicopter tours get canceled. Ocean conditions can be rough. Trails can be muddy. Have backup ideas ready. Your energy after wedding planning might be lower than you expect, and that's okay. Rest is a valid honeymoon activity. You also want photos without wedding pressure, and this is where Flytographer really shines. You get professional photos in gorgeous Hawaii locations without the wedding day stress. I recommend booking a session at an incredible spot. Sunrise at Haleakala, sunset at Lanikai Beach, golden hour at Waimea Canyon. Sessions start at $4.25 for an hour and include a set number of edited photos delivered within about a week. The photographers are local, they know the best spots and timing. It's way more affordable than bringing a wedding photographer. Plus, you're relaxed, you're married, and you're just enjoying each other. Some of my favorite couple photos I've seen came from Flytographer honeymoon sessions. Okay, I want to share a couple of real success stories because it helps to see what good planning actually looks like. Here's the couple who did it right. Sarah and Michael planned their Maui wedding 14 months in advance. They booked a beachfront venue that included an indoor backup space. They hired a local photographer who shot 50 or more Hawaii weddings. They got all their permits ready. They had detailed timelines shared with every vendor. 3 days before their wedding, heavy rain was forecast. Instead of panicking, they calmly moved the ceremony to the indoor space. It had big windows overlooking the ocean. The storm rolled through, the rain stopped, and they got incredible photos on the beach after the ceremony with dramatic cloudy skies. Their wedding was beautiful because they planned for reality, not just for perfect weather. So here's what made it work. Early planning, 14 months out, local vendors who knew Hawaii, real weather backup, not just hope, clear communication with everyone, realistic budget with contingency money, and flexible attitude when plans changed. Here's the couple who respected the culture. Jessica and David wanted Hawaiian elements in their wedding, but they took time to do it right. They took a Hawaiian culture class. They worked with a cultural practitioner for their ceremony. They educated their guests about what they'd be witnessing. The result was this beautiful blend ceremony, legal efficient plus cultural blessing that felt meaningful and respectful. Their guests felt honored to be part of something authentic. The cultural practitioner told them afterwards that she appreciated how much they learned and how respectful they were. That meant everything to them. So what actually works? Start early, 12 to 18 months for weddings, 6 to 12 months for honeymoons, and good vendors book up. You also want to budget realistically. Add 25 to 30% to your initial numbers. Hawaii costs more than you'd expect. Hire local. Vendors who actually work in Hawaii regularly understand the unique challenges. Plan for weather. Specific backup plans with booked venues, not just we'll figure it out. Communicate consistently. Share timelines, confirm details multiple times, and have one point person on wedding day. Be flexible. Some things will go differently than planned, and that's okay. Just roll with it. Look, I know this is a lot of information, and every couple's situation is different. Some of you are thinking, I got this. I can handle the planning. Great. You probably can with this information. Some of you are thinking, this is more complicated than I thought. I need help with my specific situation. That's literally what my consultations are for. I do 60-minute consultations for $149 where we go deep into your specific plans. We'll talk through your vendor choices. Are they actually good? Your timeline. Is it realistic for Hawaii? Your budget. Am I missing hidden costs? Your weather backup plan. Is it specific enough? And legal requirements for your situation. I'll also connect you with Kim at Stuffed Suitcase, who's my travel agent partner. She handles all your booking, hotels, activities, travel arrangements, and she waives her usual planning fee for my consultation clients. If you've already got most of your planning done and you just need someone who knows Hawaii to review everything, I can also do 30-minute consultations for $69. Perfect for a final check before you start booking things. You can book at hawaiitravelwithkids.com. And honestly, whether you book a consultation or not, I hope this episode saves you from at least one expensive mistake. Okay, that's it. That's everything I wish someone had told me before my first Hawaii wedding experience. The main things to remember: get your marriage license right. Apply within the window. Both of you show up in person. Work with a licensed officiant. Choose vendors carefully, especially your photographer. Look for Hawaii experience specifically. Plan for Hawaii's weather. Real backup plans, not just hope. Budget honestly. Add 25 to 30% to your initial numbers. Hawaii is expensive. Help your guests plan early. They're spending a lot to be there. Keep your honeymoon balanced, some planning and some flexibility, not too much of either. And remember, you're getting married or celebrating your marriage in one of the most beautiful places in the world. Some things will go differently than planned, and that's normal. What matters is that you're doing this together. You're surrounded by people who love you, and you're in paradise. The details matter, but they're not the point. The point is your marriage. The point is this amazing experience you're creating. Don't let stress about perfection steal your joy. If you need help planning, I'm here. If you've got questions, send them my way. And when you're standing on that beach or at that venue, looking at the person you're marrying with Hawaii all around you, that's when you realize none of the stress mattered. That moment is worth everything. Mahalo for listening, plan well, be flexible, and celebrate with aloha.